Bienvenidos y welcome to the Biz Bruja podcast, where we're claiming our powerful intuition, our sacred medicina, embracing our magic and healing ancestral patterns, invoke powerful creations in our own well-being, our lives, familias, community, and our businesses. Remembering that our businesses are so important at this time. I'm the creatrix of this blogcast, the Biz Bruja herself, Vanessa, a modern-day bruja, fourth-generation psychic medium, clinical hypnotist, energy healer, and soul biz mentor and coach. An Argentine-American who started reading adults at 16, became a professional intuitive at 22, and now guides creatives, intuitives, healers, and entrepreneurs to break through fears, connect to the practical power of their intuition so they can serve the world powerfully. Hola, mi gente bella. Welcome, everyone, to the Biz Bruja podcast. I could not let this full moon in Virgo eclipse go by, even though it happened last week, without talking to you, because we're still feeling the repercussions. We are in eclipse season. We're in retrograde season. A lot of things are happening that are affecting us in many different ways, and I don't want you to fear it. Because the thing is, we hear retrograde and we're like, no, right? Like Mercury's in Gatorade and todo eso. But the thing is, all of life, including ourselves, is about cycles. It's about seasons. We're not one thing, and we're not marching to one beat the whole time. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, there's going to be staccato beat, there's going to be more fluid beats. And all of that is for our own good. It allows us to connect with parts of ourselves that normally we wouldn't even be in touch with unless we're invited into that particular phase of life. And also allows us to see what we couldn't see before, so we can integrate it, heal, and also recreate ourselves, right? Because we may have started life in one particular way, but it doesn't mean that we're going to continue that way. Now, of course, things like our values, they could change, they could shift, but there are many things that we're born with. We're born with our past life gifts. We're born with our past life traumas, energies, ancestral gifts, and spaces and places where we need to heal. All of that is with us. And as we integrate and heal, as we become more and more aware of ourselves, our place in the world, and who we are choosing to be in this life, things can shift. So let's talk a little bit more, un poquito más. I have really bad allergies, by the way. So if I sneeze or I'm like, and you've seen this before. So I had a big eclipse awakening, which I'll talk about in a minute, right? I'll talk about what is come up for us, what is coming up, and then I'll tell you a little bit about my own personal story, because wow. Not what I expected, but that's what the full moon eclipse does for us, right? So the full moon on March 13th into 14th, 2025, just happened last Saturday, in Virgo, is astrologically important and significant for many reasons, right? The full moon energy, as we know, is a time of culmination. It's a time where things come to a head. They come out to be seen fully. While the moon is always there in the sky, we only get to see pieces of it. And so in life, sometimes we only get to see pieces of truth. And sometimes that big whoop thing smacks us in the face, wakes us up. And it's a moment of, oh my OMFG or ay Dios mío type of moment. That's what the full moon does for us. Now, it doesn't always have to be dramatico. It doesn't always have to be dramatic. It could also be like, okay, like I felt this and now I understand it. For some people, it would be like, I had no idea this was going on. So those are the two of the ways that we can experience the full moon. One is a big dramatic reveal, right? Or another one is like continued validation for something that you already thought. Like you're following the little breadcrumbs to the witch's house at Hansel and Gretel, who I think gets a bad rap. And then we suddenly find the witch. We understand the bigger vision of the situation, the bigger perspective of what we're going through or what we didn't want to look at. So it's a time of emotional release, clarity, heightened awareness. The energy often is intense and it reveals things that were hidden or overlooked. Full moons are moments when we see the results of what we've been working on and can often feel the need to let go of what no longer serves us, right? So that's every full moon. For some of us, sometimes the full moon comes in and we're like, yeah, celebration. And actually, I have one of those too. So I have two things to share. But it's in Virgo this month, right? So Virgo is an earth sign and it's known for its practicality, it is attention to detail, perfectionism, desire for order. Virgo is ruled by Mercury, the planet of communication, and it's associated with health, service, and daily routines. This sign also focuses on improvement, self-care, organization. When the full moon happens in Virgo, the energy is about finding balance between the practical and the emotional release. So we've got to be down to earth, and yet we also have to let go of what doesn't work and also release ourselves from those chains of perfectionism or expectations of ourselves and others that just make us really unhappy and don't amount to anything. So some of the things that were highlighted and are still highlighted because it's only Monday is self-care and wellness. It's a great time to reflect on your health and routine and make any necessary adjustments. Practicality and organization, right? It's just in time for spring cleaning. Hay que limpiar para la primavera if you're in the northern pole. This full moon encourages us to clear up clutter in our lives, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional. It's also about like critical thinking versus self-criticism. It's important to be to have a critical mind, meaning that we will look at things thoroughly. But when we start to criticize everything we do, we're going to push ourselves into paralysis analysis, right? As we say. But Virgo's perfectionist tendencies can bring self-doubt. And it's so important for us to differentiate between constructive critique and self-sabotage. Now, in opposition of this full moon, right? So I always like to show this. We've got the moon over here on the left, and then here's the sun. So I don't know why I like to do that. I'm silly. I just pulled up two crystal balls and showed them. But for people who are not seeing the video, the full moon always occurs when the sun and moon are in opposite signs. So that's why I did that, because they're in opposite signs. We've got Virgo here, we've got Pisces here. And so there's this tension, right? And the moon is in Virgo is like, let's be practical, let's be grounded. Nature of Virgo, let us have discernment. And Pisces is like, I want to be dreamy and creative. And oh my God, isn't that person cute? I think they're like my soulmate from my past life. And the moon's like, no, you do that all the time. I see the pattern. So there's this back and forth between the moon and the sun. Of course, for each and every one of us, it hits us differently. But if there's any area, maybe for you, it's friends or your health or your environment or your job where you're like, I don't really want to look at the truth. I just want to keep in the flow. And Virgo's now, look, you've got to look at this pattern in your life. So that's what Virgo is really kind of doing to the sun in Pisces right now. It's like, okay, I know I'm extreme, says Virgo, and I want structure. And I want outcomes and I want to meet our goals. And Pisces, like, I just want to feel and go with the flow and be ethereal and let go of my imagination. If you're in denial or in delulu for something in your life about something, whether it's amor, relación, carrera, like life, career, love, and you feeling this tug during this time, right? Since Saturday or Monday, it's still happening. We're still feeling the impact. Pay attention. Pull out a journal, pull out your phone, create a note, and ask yourself a question. Is there anything I'm being delulu about? And where could this full moon and Virgo eclipse help me? If you're lucky, you've already been smacked with the truth or gently invited into looking at it, right? If not, you have to do that extra work of diving deep. And even if you do know what's going on with you, it's important for you to do the work too. It's about grounding your dreams with the Virgo full moon. You know, if we're all Piscean and like kind of dreaming and going along with the program, we're not going to get our feet on the ground long enough to carry out our dreams and do the steps necessary. So we need each other. We need Virgo to give us the step-by-step of what we need to do. We need Pisces to inspire us, okay? So I want to share that since I moved to Pennsylvania, I've had really bad allergies. In New York, they weren't so bad. And that's why I've had to, especially last year, they were at their worst. And unfortunately, I had to reschedule some sessions for migraines. I mean, few of you know it because it was only maybe 3 people, but stuff that I never had to do before, suddenly I had to do because I lost my voice at times. I could not record my podcast, do my hypnosis. So this has taken a big toll on me. You know what I mean? And I do work for a living. So it was stressful to say the least. None of my doctors ever asked me certain questions. They were like, okay, you have allergies. Here's what you could do to manage them. But I decided that last year that I wanted to find out why I had them. We did the test. It was non-conclusive because I'd taken medicine 5 days before. This year I find out that I'm allergic to elm tree, which is right around here, right? I'm in a reserve, elm tree reserve. And drum roll, please. Can't believe this one. I'm allergic to cats. I have 3 cats. And so it's been shocking. I'm definitely going to do the injection shot, immunotherapy, and move on with that. I already kicked my cats out of their bedroom, my bedroom, their bedroom. So that's been hard, but they're adapting, and I already feel better today. And, cleaned it and got purifiers. And it was a really big eclipse, smack in the face. I never ever could have imagined that I was allergic to my cats because I don't have reactions like after hugging and kissing them. It's just that I live with a constant runny nose and cough. And so now I'm in that fight to like clean up my living space, to get even more purifiers, to get special food so their dander is less, to get immunotherapy. And this is the type of thing that the full moon and eclipse can deliver for us. It could deliver like life-changing big picture that we didn't know. And again, I knew I had allergies and I tended to them as best I could, local honey, many things, purifiers. But I couldn't believe it. So it's been shocking to say the least. So what I recommend to anybody who's here, if you do think that you have allergies and you don't know what they are, get checked out, especially if you have insurance, like get it checked out, because I wish I had done that. Nobody suggested it. And I was like, I know what it is, but I didn't. And now it's going to change my life. And now my question is like, what can I be and what can I do and what can I create as being a human that's not on allergies? So that's one of the things that came up. And Friday itself, or Thursday or Friday itself, a friend of mine who has an independent film locally, River City Stories, which I have like 2 lines in as a extra, I guess it was a minor role, very minor role. I'm being brought back as a main character in the second part of the film. So, and it's a really juicy role. And I'm really excited about it. And like I said, it's an indie local film here where I live, and hopefully it will go on to festivals. But it's an opportunity for me to grow my artistry and my work, right? I love to perform, and I've come back to it in my later years now, the last 8 years here living in Pennsylvania. Entonces, look out for things that you have maybe wanted on some level that suddenly turn around and come forward, and they're like, hi, here's this offer, here's this job, here's this friendship, here's this opportunity. And then also look out for the, oh my God, yo no vi eso, I did not see that coming type of a moment. So I wanted to share that with you because that's the kind of things that are happening. It's important for us to review our health right now, to review our self-care. It's very important for us to tweak it, especially with what's happening. I'm not talking about red and blue. I'm talking about human rights, what's happening in the world in general, what's happening in the United States. There's so much stress. There's so much news. There's so much craziness everywhere. It's important for us to be grounded, to tend to our self-care more than ever, and to also pay attention to what we're allergic to. And I don't mean cats or elder trees or, hay fever. I'm talking about behaviors. And I'm not talking about cancel culture either, but just looking at behaviors that we don't like, that we're not aligned with, behaviors that we're putting up with that no longer serve, that are maybe making us sick, and really trying to make those moves and taking those steps to move beyond it so we don't have to continue making ourselves sick, putting up y aguantando cosas que son inaguantables. So some of the themes of this full moon and Virgo eclipse are about completion and release, right? Releasing unhealthy habits, like me, releasing ignorance of being allergic to my cats, letting go of negative self-judgment, clearing physical or mental clutter, realigning with health and wellness goals. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get to the gym now. I'm gonna be in a movie, right? Even if it's local, it's fun. And it's also like, wow, but no, that's not the thing. Although as a woman, you all may understand, or as a person, as a human, we're like, oh my God, that's coming up, we have to do it. But I think assessing my health overall and feeling like I've dealt with allergies for so long, I'm really excited to be returning to my weightlifting and to tend to my system, right? And the inflammation in my system caused by allergies in a whole different way. So so I want to ask you, what are you excited about in terms of your wellness goals? Is there something that came up for you that was like, boom, a smack in the face? Was there something beautiful that came to you that you're like, oh my God, I love it. I feel so seen. I'm so excited. Oh, and I also got invited to a meeting today with a big company, which I'm not going to talk about until it goes through. So we'll see what that happens. So a lot of opportunities, a lot of things have been moving through, a lot of realizations. So take a moment to pay attention to them, because when we do that, that's when we can integrate our truth. Now, Neptune is also influencing Pisces, right? We've got the sun in Pisces in this full moon. There's a strong Neptune influence, and also Neptune is in Pisces, about to go into Aries like any minute. So it's in this dreamy place. Now it's about to go into Aries, which is like forward movement. So know that there's extra dreamy energy that translates, yes, into artistic creation, into poetry, into dreaminess, into intuitive gifts, but it also translates into deceiving ourselves. So ask yourself, have I been deceiving myself in any of these important things in my life, my relationships, my job? And just breathe through it and ask yourself, ¿cómo puedo mirar esto a la cara? How can I look at this in the face and still breathe? Sometimes we don't want to look at truths in our lives because then we feel the pressure of immediately having to do something about it. And it's okay, you really don't. You can look at it and be like, okay, I need a minute, and then you need to process, and then start to say to yourself, what am I going to do with it? So give yourself the permission to just feel the truth, receive the truth without the pressure to having to change immediately. Give yourself the time to integrate. It's also time to align with service, right? In service. Pisces is about service. Virgo is about service. How do we serve others without being in servitude? And this is the theme because we're in North Node in Pisces till next June 2026. So it's all this energy of being dreamy, having dreams, being spiritual, artistic, being loving, compassionate, la unidad, all of that. But at the same time being like, wait a minute, pero tampoco soy tonto. Like, I'm also not a fool. Like, discernment is going to be key. Giving without getting used, self-care without self-delusion, and service without servitude on our terms, right? So remember, there's a great time for healing. Don't I know it? It's also a great time to understand that Venus is in Aries. So Venus is our values, what we love, how we love, and it is in Aries, passionate, fiery, intense, and it's going retrograde. When it goes retrograde, it means that it's inviting us to review our love relationships, review our values, review our looks, how we presenting ourselves, our wardrobe, our environment. It's all about art and beauty, love styles, and it happens to be in a fire sign. So control yourself, don't get angry easily, try to breathe through it. At the same time, know that we're going to be maybe revamping our values because we're reviewing them. We're also at the brink right now of Mercury, in retrograde. So I had an issue with my laptop. There were some delays. Know that there could be misunderstandings. So be very specific about your communications, especially to yourself. So this full moon in Virgo is asking us to ground our dreams, to find balance between service and self-care and servitude, to please let go of perfectionist tendencies. It's a time of emotional release, practical reassessment, and healing. What I want to say here too is that I am still running my $150 special for the Astro Potentials of 2025. We're only in March. There's a lot of year left. If you want to book it, you should. I'll put it in the body of this podcast. I also have 3 coaching spots. I have programs where I coach people for 4 months. It's usually every week, and it's a 4-month process. I use astrology, I use intuition development. I teach my clients how to read the Akashic Records during our coaching time. And then I also work on your business or on your creative plan or whatever plan that you are trying to create for your life, whether it's healthcare, creativity, or building a business. I've been doing this for, I don't even know, so many years, like 9 years, and I don't take on too many, but I have rooms. I have room right now for 3. So I have room for 3 to take on 3. So if you're interested, just go in and book a chat. It says chat with Vanessa, and let's explore it. It's a free call. And I would love to support you because it's a perfect time. When you have North Node in Pisces, which is asking you to go higher, to dream bigger, to find your North Star and follow it through. And that's happening until June of 2026. We've got time to create something, whatever it is, because your life is worth it. It's worth your investment, your time, your work, your calling is worth it. Your dreams are worth it. Bueno, I love you all. Thank you for being here. Gracias por estar aquí. And remember that it's time to reflect on what's working and what isn't working in your life, especially in terms of health, routines, and emotional well-being. And we need to make these adjustments accordingly, porque reality and truth is knocking on our door. Mucho amor.